Phat Cat and the Family Book 9. The Seven Continents Series, Europe. Big Momma and her grandchildren, Allie and Phat Cat, were on their first ever plane ride. All the sights and sounds were new to them. They flew so high they could see far and wide. They looked out the window while Big Momma snoozed. The beauty of the earth was something to behold. She was taking them to all 7 continents, and their European tour was about to unfold. When they arrived in London, England, they went right to the London Eye Ferris wheel. Big Momma wanted to first see the city from the sky, and this view was ideal. Next was Buckingham Palace. It was a gigantic place. They took pictures and admired its history and grace. They toured the Canterbury Cathedral, the British Museum, and Windsor Castle. Cars drove on the opposite sides of the road. Traffic from different directions was such a hassle. Fish and chips is like Big Momma's catfish feasts. Toad in the hole is sausage wrapped in dough. Bangers and mash are sausages with mashed potatoes. British words for food are funny, and they're something all visitors should know. Next, they went to Stonehenge, and they couldn't believe their eyes. The rocks were so huge. How did they get there? Ancient humans must have used physics to devise. Big Momma hired a tour guide to take them inside the stone circle. Cool. The other tourists stood behind a rope. Allie was excited. She'd only seen photos in school. Each stone is about 25 tons and stands 13 feet high. The structure is 5,000 years old. Allie was so impressed she could cry. She imagined the effort it took to make this circle, how hard it was to erect so the stones didn't fall. In ancient times, it was a place to gather and celebrate, a magical area of worship. It was a place for one and all. Allie turned to Big Momma and said, as they returned from their London hotel, "Stonehenge was a beautiful place, even though some of the stones fell. Those ancient humans who built it for others to enjoy and endlessly debate, to marvel at the structure and how years later it did still captivate. In a way, it reminded me of Lucinda's juke joint." Allie grew quiet to contemplate. "I suppose you're right, child," Big Momma replied, as she thought about their recent visit to the juke joint. Lucinda's was a place where people celebrated. It was a place that formed a community. Good point. We talked about our roots on our last trip. The people of Stonehenge surely formed those roots too. You're being empathetic and making connections, Allie. I'm so proud of you. What a great attribute. Allie was honored by that compliment. She reflected on what making connections meant. Every time she walked into a place with history, she would wonder how it was different from the present. She could imagine the juke joint full of people dancing and having fun, or what Stonehenge looked like on the summer solstice after the celebrations and music had begun. The world was filled with historic places to see, and they each had an important story. Making connections would be her goal as she traveled the world discovering culture and soul. That was an excerpt from the book Phat Cat and the Family Book 9, The 7 Continents Series, Europe. The next part of that same book, we will go to France.